You are listening to Beyond the Measure, episode 49. Listen as I, a young composer, and my wife, a young choir director, interview other music educators in order to gain insight into their own success in the classroom. We have a lot to learn, and we want you to learn with us. No matter your age, ensemble, or experience, this is the ideal podcast for music educators, composers, and students alike. So join us as we go beyond the measure. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian.
And I'm Kara.
And you're listening to Beyond the Measure, a podcast for music educators. If this is your first time listening, this is a show where Kara and I both interview a bunch of incredible music educators from across the country about all the great stuff that they have learned and grown in the classroom so that we can share those with all of y'all. Now, with that being said, even though a vast majority of these episodes consist of an interview with an educator, this is actually I guess you could say a solo episode or just an episode with the two of us, because this is episode 49. And so we are super excited for the next episode, episode 50. That's a big milestone for the show. We're really excited about that. And so before we have episode 50, that's actually going to be our final episode of season 2. So kind of like the finale, I guess you could say. We have a very, very special educator guest that's very special to me that's going to be on the show. But before we do that, we wanted to do a little episode, just the two of us, and really focusing on you, Kara, because, man, it's been, let's see, how long has it been since we started the podcast?
Like 3 years, I think, almost, right?
Yeah, it was 22 and now it's 25. So yeah, it's been pretty much 3 years since we started the podcast. And I mean, obviously both of us are still very young in our music careers, but I mean, Kara, you now have how many years of teaching under your belt by the end of this school year?
4.
4 years, which is amazing. And like I said, both of us still super early in our careers in the grand scheme of things, but I mean, 4 years, that's a good number of years, and you've really grown a lot since you started.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what to say. She's
Speechless.
She's speechless.
At a loss for words.
Yeah, at a loss for words. So I actually really wanted to do this, probably more than Kara did, but I just wanted to take an episode to kind of interview Kara again, because it's been, I mean, I technically interviewed you one of the first episodes of the show, but I just wanted to interview you as an educator because, I mean, you've learned a lot since the last time we did that. So kind of wanted to just jump into it. This probably won't be as long of an episode as some of our other interviews, but Kara, could you start by just telling us like how this past school year has gone? We're recording this as of, mid to late March. And so you're past UIL, the big final hurdle of the year. But yeah, just kind of tell us, how has this past school year gone in general, but then also compare that to some of your previous years teaching.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to compare it to all of my other years, it's just been so much better. I can't really explain why. I don't think I've done anything different. I mean, I've prepared better. Like, I think it's just with experience, every year just kind of gets a little bit better as far as like knowing what I'm doing. But this year, I think, was just kind of like a milestone for me just at my campus. I'm about to complete my 3rd full year at this school, which means all of the students that I have are now mine. Like, so they haven't had any other choir teacher at that middle school but me. And so there's just, I feel like, a big culture shift this year as to who is signing up for choir and the kids who stayed in choir. The kids who stayed in choir know what to expect whenever they're coming in. And so behavior in classroom management has just kind of been natural instead of it. I feel like in years past, I had to have like certain incentives I had to do and all of this junk like that, just wasted money. Just like, oh, if you do this, you will get candy, or if you do this, I'll buy you donuts.
Bribing them.
Yeah. It's like, I don't have to do that anymore because most of them just want to sing. And that's been amazing. And that was just an amazing thing for me coming into August of last year. I was just a little bit anxious, but also excited of what was coming. And it was just the first semester was the best fall semester I've ever had. And it was the busiest semester, ironically. It was the busiest, but it was so much fun. I was the music director for our first inaugural middle school musical at our campus. And that was super fun, but time consuming on top of preparing kids for middle school all region and just personal things like attending weddings and stuff like that. So it was just very busy, but it didn't feel busy, like stressful.
Well, and I'll say, I mean, I could definitely, just from watching, on the sidelines, like it was so amazing to see. I could see that change. Like this was definitely a breakthrough year, and maybe it just being your third year, definitely. I mean, I'm sure that definitely made a difference since all of them just knew you. But yeah, that was just super, super cool to see the fact that you didn't necessarily have to bribe them to behave, because I mean, vast majority of them actually just wanted to be there. And I don't know much about teaching, but I imagine it helps a lot when the students actually want to be there.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm sure I know bribing is not the best classroom management, but whenever you have middle school boys who don't want to sing all the time, you just kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
But this year, my middle school boys, most of them want to sing, especially like my non-varsity, and they're talented and they're gifted and they're smart. And so it's just been nice and refreshing.
Yeah, I think it's a great illustration too of, because we've heard it a lot, and a lot of the guests we've had on this show as well have said it time and time again. You just need to get through your first few years, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get, I don't know if easier is the best word, but with that experience that you're gaining over those first few years is really, there's going to be a moment where you have that breakthrough, kind of like how you said you had that breakthrough this past fall. Something in my personal life that I've really learned and been hearing a lot the past few months that I think perfectly illustrates what you were saying is, you always hear people say quality over quantity, but what a lot of people don't realize is that quantity becomes quality, because the more you do something, even if you're not necessarily doing it very well at the beginning, as long as you just keep doing it more and more and more, it's impossible for you not to get better. Like you're going to get better at it. And so that's just a natural progression of going through your years and pushing through and really, really getting better at that. So that's amazing. So going towards the end of this school year, Kara, I mean, what would you say is one of the things that you felt like you really improved on this year that really helped you reach that breakthrough that you experienced?
Well, before we started recording, you asked me, and I literally just said, don't care as much. And that doesn't, I don't mean like, oh, don't care about your job. I don't care about, the work ethic that you put in. Like I care about all of that. It's kind of like the outside things that you can't control. And then that also just don't matter, but whenever you're a young teacher or veteran, it just kind of happens. So,
yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think a great way to say what you're saying is care about the right things.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that can just get in the way of what's most important. So going off of that, about caring about the right things, Kara, I mean, could you give us an example of something that you felt like you adjusted this year, kind of shifting your focus on, I mean, what you were focusing your attention on?
I guess the most recent and relevant example right now is just after finishing UIL, reflecting about last year, how I handled everything compared to this year. It's just a lot different. The main thing I really struggle with in my own life is just anxiety. Anxiety about specifically with being a choir teacher. I don't know why, but I get so anxious about what other people are thinking about me. And I've always had those anxieties growing up. Like, what are people thinking about me? Am I doing enough? Are these people talking about me behind my back? Do these people really think that I'm capable? Last year, I just had a lot of crippling anxiety about the results of what was going to come after UIL. If my students didn't do well, those records are out for everybody to see. And if for some reason my kids don't do well, that is a talking point for other directors over Texas to see that and talk about it. And that it was an irrational fear that I had, and it affected the way that I taught my kids a lot. It wasn't about the growth of the students and in the process of start doing UIL. It was about, guys, we need to get this score so that we can look good. Now, I never told my students that, but that's just what I was thinking in my head. This year, I didn't do anything different, but I just, after last year, I was like, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And it really is all about growth with your students. And it's about them. It is not about me at all. I was being very selfish last year, and this year I wasn't. We had a lot of obstacles this year during, like, for school. We had lots of benchmarking. We had a snow day that took away time from my kids, so that made me anxious. And we also had some personal things going on. My grandmother passed away, which left me missing some school for that, and also just not being in the right headspace to really feel like I was doing my best for the kids. But we did the thing, and my kids did really well. And I wasn't thinking about this year of, like, what are people thinking? Because it doesn't matter. It's what your kids get out of the process. Were they happy with what they did? Were they proud of what the scores that they got? Were they proud of the work that they put into this process? And reflect on how they became better musicians. And all of my kids did. They were so proud and happy. And that's kind of what matters the most. And that kind of leads on to my next thing, was like, okay, just don't care about what other people think, because they're probably not even talking about you anyways. And if they are, it doesn't matter. But you just kind of have to do what's best for your kids at the end of the day. And that's kind of what this year has made this year a little bit better too.
Having that mindset shift of where's your attention going for that. And I don't know about others, I don't know about you, but, like, I know, like, for me, a lot of times, no matter what it is that I'm working on, I feel like the times that I've shifted my attention away from myself and more towards, like, a deeper purpose for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, I don't know if that necessarily makes it easier, but it at least helps me keep moving forward, having that motivation to keep going. So that's super cool to hear that you were able to do that this year, even with all the hard stuff that had to go through. Anything else this year that you feel like really helped you make that mindset shift and, not worrying about the unimportant things?
Staying off of social media is a big thing. There are a lot of helpful Facebook groups that are resourceful and can be encouraging at times. But also, what happens to me sometimes when I'm scrolling through, like, the Choir Directors of Texas page or middle school choir directors page, I'm, like, seeing people telling stories of what they're doing with their program. And then it makes me think, oh gosh, I'm behind. I should be doing that too. Oh no. And it gets me into the spiral of, like, am I not doing enough? And I always just have to, whenever I get into that spiral, I just have to be, okay, I need to get off. And so I don't look at that page as often as I did in other years, because I also just feel like I don't need to look at it as much. It kind of just goes back to, okay, that they're doing what's best for their choir, and they're sharing that and seeing if and making sure and seeing if it helps others. I'm also doing what's best for my program, and it doesn't have to look the same. Not every program is built the same, looks the same. Yeah. So I just always have to remind myself of that as well.
Just being able to have the right focus on the right things. Awesome. Well, it's been amazing for me to be able to just, see you make that breakthrough over the past year. And we hope that many of you that have been listening have been able to see breakthrough as well. If you've been having a rough couple years, we all have those at certain points in our careers, no matter where you are in that journey. So it's been awesome to see you have that breakthrough, Kara, and I'm really proud as a husband to be able to watch you be able to do all that as well. It's been amazing. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the episode here. Again, this is a bit of a shorter one. We're really, really excited going into this next episode. This will be our episode 50 of the podcast. It's been really, really fun. So thank you all for listening. Again, we appreciate all the love and support you've shown for this show. Again, if you've enjoyed this, please consider leaving us a review and a rating on whichever platform that you listen to. Thank you all again so much for listening, and we will see y'all in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Beyond the Measure, a podcast for music educators. We hope you learned something that will help you stress less about how to teach so that you can focus more on who you're teaching. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a rating and review, subscribe, and share this podcast with other music educators. See you in the next one.